Hello and welcome. In today's video, we are diving deep into the topic of TDS on rent, focusing on accounting TDS transactions in TallyPrime, starting from deduction, payment, up to generation of TDS returns file. Though this video is particularly about TDS on rent, the process is more or less the same for accounting similar transactions like TDS on professional charges, commission, contracts, etc. Let's first understand the basics of the concept and then see how effortlessly you can manage your TDS compliances using TallyPrime. Before navigating to Tally, let's first understand the meaning of two key terms, rent and TDS, starting with rent. When do you pay rent? You pay rent when you use property of some other person. Next, what kind of property? 1. Vacant land or building like office, factory, warehouse, store, etc. 2. Plant, machinery, equipment, furniture or fittings like hiring excavators in the construction industry, hiring of furniture for your business and so on. Now TDS, tax deducted at source. First, let's read the definition. Here, a person called deductor who is liable to make payment of specified nature to any other person called deductee shall deduct tax at source and remit the same into the account of the government. In the context of TDS on rent, deductor is the person who is making payment of rent, payment of specified nature is the rent, and deductee is the property owner. Now this provisions of TDS on rent is specified in section 194I of the Income Tax Act. Let's understand section 194I in simple words by finding answers to 5 questions. 1. Who should deduct? The payer of the rent, that is the person making payment of rent, is required to deduct tax at source from the rent that's payable to the property owner. Question number 2. When to deduct? At the time of payment or when you account such transactions in your books, that's in your accounting software, whichever is earlier. Question number 3. When to remit it to the government? By 7th of the subsequent month, except for the month of March when the due date is 30th April. Question number 4. What is the rate of TDS? Actually, there are 2 rates. 10% on land, building, furniture or fittings. Say for instance, fully furnished office space would attract 10% TDS. Then we have 2% on plant, machinery or equipment. For instance, hiring of cranes. Last question. Is there any threshold or exemption limit? Yes, it's there, and this threshold is 2.4 lakh per annum, that is 20k per month. So TDS is applicable only when you cross this threshold. To have a better understanding of these provisions, let's consider a scenario. Let's say you are into the business of trading in goods, say fans. You run your business from a rented place and you pay rent of 30k per month. For November 2024, rent payable is 30k. And you usually pay rent by 15th of the subsequent month. So 15th December 2024 is the last date. Let's assume that the invoice is received on 30th November itself and on the same day you have accounted this transaction. First, let's do a prelim check. Is TDS applicable on this transaction? For that, we'll have to check the threshold. 30k per month means 3.6 lakh per annum is the rent, which is more than the threshold of 2.4 lakh. So TDS is applicable. Next, what is the rate of TDS? Because this is building, rate of TDS is 10%, so 3k per month is the TDS. Then, when do you have to deduct? It is date of accounting or date of payment, whichever is earlier. So, date of accounting here is 30th November, so that is the date of deduction. Then, when do you have to pay this to the government? Within 7 days from the end of the month. So, here it is 7th December 2024, otherwise you will have to pay interest. Let's consider this scenario and understand how to account this TDS transaction in TallyPrime. But before that, let's have an overview of the process involved. First, you'll have to enable TDS, then create TDS nature of payments. After that, you'll have to create ledgers. Here we'll have to create 3 ledgers, TDS, supplier and expense ledgers. After that, we are going to create vouchers, both purchase and payment vouchers. Then we are going to view form 26Q, that is your TDS return form. Here we are also going to have a quick understanding of the concept challan reconciliation. After that, we'll see how to generate FVU file using file validation utility. More on this FVU later. Let's now navigate to Tally. and enable TDS. From Gateway of Tally, click Company, Features, keyboard shortcut is F11, enable TDS, select yes, enter TAN registration number and tax deduction and collection account number, that is your TAN, select deductor type, that is type of your organization. In the field set or alter details of person responsible, select yes. If it's a proprietorship concern, then enter details of the proprietor here. If it's a partnership form, then enter details of the managing partner. If it is a company, then you will have to enter details of MD, CEO or CFO, whoever is the authorized person. Go back to the previous screen. In the field ignore IT exemption limit for TDS deduction, select yes. From Gateway of Tally, select Create, TDS nature of payments, click Helper, keyboard shortcut is Alt-H, search for 194I, select rent of land, building or furniture, rate of tax for both individual or HUF and other deductive types would be 10%, threshold would be 2.4 lakh, accept. Again from Gateway of Tally, select Create, Ledger, name of the TDS ledger is TDS on rent 194I. Group it under duties and taxes. Type of tax would be TDS. Nature of payment would be rent of land, building or furniture. Accept. Let's now create suppliers ledger. Let's say the name of the supplier is ABC Services. It's grouped under sundry creditors. In the section statutory details, select yes for the field is TDS deductible. Deductive type, here I have selected individual. Deduct TDS in same voucher, select yes. Enter PAN of the property owner. Remember, if you don't enter PAN, then instead of 10%, rate of TDS applicable is 20%. So ensure to fill this information. If the property owner is GST registered, then enter details of GST registration. Accept. Let's now create the expense ledger. Let's call it as rent. It's grouped under indirect expenses. In the field set or alter other statutory details, select yes. Is TDS applicable? Yes, applicable. Nature of payment, rent of land, building or furniture. Let's accept this. From Gateway of Tally, select Vouchers. Enter voucher date. Here I have entered 30th November 2024. Click Purchase. Change mode. Select Accounting Invoice. Enter the purchase voucher number if it is not auto-generated. Enter supplier's invoice number and date. Select party's name. Here it is ABC Services. Receipt details not applicable. Accept party details. Select name of expense ledger, that is rent. Enter 30,000. Then enter GST values. After that, select TDS on rent. If you observe, 10% of 30K, that is 3K, is automatically deducted. Accept bill-wise details and accept the voucher. Let's now create payment voucher. From voucher creation screen, select payment. Select the date. Here I have selected 7th December. Enter payment voucher number if it is not auto-generated. Click autofill. Select start payment. Tax type is TDS. Period from and to would be 1st November to 30th November. Deducted till date would be end of November, that is 30th November 2024. Section 194I. Nature of payment would be rent of land, building or furniture. Deductee status, here I have selected all items. Residential status, again I have selected all items. Select name of the bank, here I have selected State Bank of India. Once you do that, the payment voucher is automatically created. Accept. Once you make payment of TDS, you will have to download the TDS challan from the bank website. Before moving to Form 26Q, let's first talk about TDS challan reconciliation. For this, from Gateway of Tally, select Go to, keyboard shortcut is Alt-G, search for TDS challan reconciliation. This would display the payment voucher that you have just created. Click Reconcile. In the ETDS quarter period, select the quarter. Here it is from 1st October to 31st December. Then enter BSR code, challan number and challan date. You can find this information from the TDS challan that you have downloaded from the bank website. Select name of the bank and branch and accept. With this, your TDS reconciliation is complete. Let's now navigate to Form 26Q. For this, again from Gateway of Tally, click Go to, select Form 26Q. Change the period. Here it is for Q3, that is from 1st October to 31st December. This is your Form 26Q. Here we have details of tax deduction followed by details of payments that you have made. In order to generate TDS return file, click Export, Current, click File Format and select ASCII. Click Export to and select the path followed by name of the file. Here I have selected tally.txt. Click Export. Once you generate this txt file, you will have to validate it using file validation utility, which you can download from Proteon website. You can find the link of this utility in the description. Latest version of FVU is 8.8. Once you open this utility, in the field TDS or TCS input file name with path, select path of the text file you have just generated. In the next field Challan input file name with path, you will have to upload CSI file. You can download this CSI file from the IT portal. This CSI file contains details of the TDS payments that you have made. In the field error upload and statistics report file path, you can select the path where you want this validated file to be stored. After that, click validate. Once you do that, FVU file would be generated. After successful validation, you can upload this FVU file directly on the IT portal, or you can reach out to a facilitation center to file your TDS returns. Remember, you will have to file TDS returns once in a quarter within certain time limits specified. After that, you will have to generate TDS certificate from the Traces portal and then forward the same to the deductee, that is property owner in our situation. Also ensure that you have PAN of the property owner, otherwise you will have to deduct 20% TDS instead of 10%. This was all about TDS on rent. Hope it was informative. Thank you for watching.